Pam Katz is present. Ron Moses present, Wendy Cambridge present, and Gail McClellan present. I certify a quorum of the HPC.
Thank you.
Thanks. For saying announcements, do you have any announcements on the 281 overlay committee?
I just quickly, I'm going to say on the 281 overlay, we, the commission, are involved in the overlay and also the task force for the 281. I'm representing us. If anyone else wants to represent them, I will gladly hand over the reins. If you want the latest, greatest on them both, you can go on the city website and it is under government. And you can look at both of those. Then if you have any specific questions, give me a holler.
Is there any public comments before we start? Thank you. New business, take consideration, discuss, and appropriate action on. First item is the acceptance of resignation of Billie Jean Kuzma.
If you would allow me, I'll read it into the minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. October 27, 2022, Madam Mayor, City Council on Blanco Historic Preservation Commission. As most of you know, I have been going through some serious unexpected medical problems concerning my liver. My physicians have advised me to give up my commitments until the problem is resolved. I have struggled with this decision since I returned home. I feel I finally found my niche as chair of the BHPC and was looking forward to some great things to preserving our history. However, for my health, it's best I follow their advice. So it is with deepest regret and sadness that I must resign my position as chair and the commission until a future date when my physicians give me the ability to return. I would like to thank Mayor Lumpy, City Council, and commissioners who have supported my time as chair, and especially Wendy, who has graciously had my back these last few months. If approved, I would like to stay on as advisor until my health improves and I can return to the commission. Respectfully, Billie Jean Kuzma.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we honor her by accepting her resignation and having her stay on as an advisor because she has some great history, more history than Pam and I, and Wendy got probably out there catching up with us fast with all of her articles and everything. I second.
Gail has motioned that we accept the resignation as well as that leave her on as an advisor. Pamela seconds. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that passed unanimously. All right. Second item of business is discuss and take action on appointment of a new chairperson. Commissioners, any
I make a motion that Ryan Moses be the new chair of BHPC.
Wendy's motion that I, Moses, is the new chair.
I second.
Pamela has second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that passes unanimously. I make a recommendation that we move on beyond our items of new business right now and due to time standards, take consideration on our first CLA of the evening. The commissioners have any thoughts on that, or do you need to make a motion on that? Or is that just acceptance?
I make a motion we readjust our agenda to now take on the CLA for the drugstore.
I second.
Wendy motion that we move forward to the CLA for the drugstore. Gail has second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Ashley, do you have any comments or anything you would like to say to us to begin with in regards to your project? I
think you all had a chance to review the additional drawings and whatnot. So I'll answer any questions related to that. And the only other thing I wanted to say was that the option that we have before you is it's really our third option. Our first option would have been to go on top of the pharmacy and just go all the way back. We could have taken advantage of electrical, plumbing, all sorts of things that are already there. But we immediately realized that would pose a conflict with preserving the, the historic nature of the downtown. So we ruled that out. Our second option was to take up as much of the footprint in the back as we could and have a one-story structure back there. But if we did that, we would have greatly inhibited Texas Cannon's ability to work back there. And so the second option we felt like wasn't really a neighborly option. And so we moved to this third option, which is a small first story in the back. And then we thought it just doesn't make sense to do a one-story small footprint there from a business viability perspective. So we decided that we wanted to add the second, really to make it a viable option for us to expand our pharmacy. And so first option was to stay off the front of the square. Second was to accommodate the business in the back. And what we're left with is what we think is a good option that is reasonable, is not visible at all hardly from many different locations, and fits within what you all want to do. So that elevation is misleading insofar as it doesn't have the depth that would be appropriate for various spots on the square. So if you're on the sidewalk, obviously you're not going to see anything. If you're across the street on the courthouse grounds looking, you're going to see a little bit of it there. If you're up on 281, you'll see a little bit more of it, but not a lot. If you're over here across the street in Old 300 or the bowling alley, you won't see hardly any of it, because we're not taking up all of our property in the back. We limited the footprint of it, so it just sticks out past the back of Daly's. So her building extends way beyond ours. So we're going to go back to where hers is and then go out a little bit more. So it limits it from that side, and then you would see it over here, of course. But overall, it's we designed it to where the visibility we think fits with what you all think is reasonable.
So if I understand it correctly,
Yeah.
it's going to include an office,
Mm-hmm.
a coffee shop, and a break room.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of it.
We're also going to ask to be able to sometimes use the second floor as an Airbnb in addition to an office. So we will be seeking a short-term rental exception from the city for the planning and zoning for that.
That'll be a separate item.
That'd be a separate item. Yeah.
A separate item from what?
From us.
But when he wants to do that, that'll be a separate request as a short-term item.
I kind of got that impression looking at your plans.
Yeah.
It's a living quarters of some sort upstairs.
Yeah.
Well, I was back there today, that's why I was in town, to look at
Oh,
it,
good.
and it looks like a fire hazard to me. Looks like everything's gonna be so crowded back there that, does the fire chief have to sign off on things like this?
I imagine that when we go for all of the permitting, that's in the course and scope of their consideration. I didn't know that was in scope of your consideration.
It
That
may
is
not be,
correct.
it just jumped out at me, it's like, there's another building here, people aren't gonna be able to get out. You know, if there's a fire, so it's a safety concern. I know that we're just historical, but, safety, back in the old days, things burned down a lot. Buildings and,
This is true.
The fire inspection would have to be done. We do contract with ESD number 2. So the fire marshal would look at that before he got a COO.
Any questions?
I too walked the back of it, and they have that wooden shed back there, which is coming down.
Mhm.
And then you had a yellow line close to the building behind you on their street. Are you
Yeah.
going that distance or
Oh, no, that's our back property
that's your
line.
property line?
Mr. Dorsey Lee, tried to take some of that property back there. So we drew that line so that Texas Canyon would know.
Not in the
And-
dirt either. You didn't draw the line.
Right.
Marked it.
We just marked it on the concrete, yeah. So, so we're not gonna go back there at all. We really want our neighbor to be, we want him, his access back there crosses over onto our property. So what we're gonna be doing is, I've talked to Dean Mayan about creating an easement that goes into our deed, or that goes into our property, that carries with the property going forward, so that we can have access back there and he can have access and we can share that area in a way that helps him with his business and helps us with ours. So we could have gone a lot further back, but we just didn't think it was the right thing to do, to be neighborhood, so.
I have one concern and one question.
Yeah.
My concern is the parapet on the top.
Okay.
That is not, the square does not have that already in it. I don't believe it ever has. I went back as far as I could go to see if there are any buildings with wrought iron parapet or something like that. And there have not been. So my concern is with that.
Mhm.
I would prefer to see it eliminated, just because it draws more attention. When you can't see it, it's gonna draw attention more than if it wasn't there. I know you have the railing for your balcony, and that's
Yeah.
cool. A
Which
safety
doesn't stand out as much as the parapet
does not
Yeah.
stand out at all, and it's a safety thing, so
Yeah.
get that. I don't get the parapet.
Well, we wanted to have something, Dave, please jump in whenever, but we wanted to have something, it's a flat roof. So we want to be able to access it, service it, et cetera.
If we put the AC units up there, we need a safety provision for the.
That's why we want to have something around it.
How tall does it need to be?
Probably 36 inches.
How tall is it now on your plans, do you know?
I think, I believe it's 36 inches. The architect is backing out on there.
Will the AC unit be towards the front of the building or the back?
Towards the back.
So it's really not affected.
More of a safety issue for when the technician gets on the roof.
Are there other options that are sort of, that are less visible up there, Dave, that we want to take about?
I'm not sure if it's the iron that you're drawn to, or we could extend the wall up and make it a physical parapet wall, look like part of the building.
And that we have around town.
Well, so we can do that.
If there needed to be a parapet,
What if, excuse me, to interrupt, but what if we did that on just the front and then iron railing on the rest of it? Gives them an easier drainage situation up there.
right, what is your pitch on that room?
It's flat.
It's almost flat. It's like, we only need like an 1/8 inch per foot.
No.
Yeah.
It's a small
Membrane roof that's going on there.
Yes. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be a TPO.
Yeah, EPO. So, and I guess that would be any other questions? Yes.
Well, I have a question. On other buildings in town, are there air conditioning systems on top of these other flat buildings?
Yes. Across.
And they don't have parapet or anything?
They have,
Do they have any kind of
they have
protection?
physical wall. They have to,
They hide them.
like the 419 over here, it's about a 5 foot tall.
But it's only in front, right?
Correct.
Not all the way around.
Right.
Correct.
So we could just do it in front.
We could do that in front and then do the railing on the rest just for safety.
The front part's the part that's going to be seen.
Yeah.
Right,
So it's,
kind of the one by one.
yeah, I mean, you're not gonna see much from the sides at all,
Right.
so.
But that's not gonna be, I mean, nobody has access to that except service people who
Right.
would be doing work.
Right. Exactly.
The other way to make it disappear is to paint it the same color as the walls or whatever.
Well, we could do that too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We could certainly do that. Then
Just
You know,
blends
the
in.
picture showed it looking like a black iron. We could paint the same color as the stucco.
Just speaking for myself, I'd rather see a solid wall in the front, and then if you went with the wrought iron down the side to make it disappear by,
Same
Color.
Paint all of the same colors.
yeah, correct. So that would be my 10 cents, but I just, and then the other question I had was, you didn't show color of your stucco, so what color will your stucco be?
I was kind of thinking of it said matching the existing structure that we have, unless you, so it was more in uniform.
Red, is that,
Or we just red on the front.
But it's got some beige, it's got some beige in there, so. I think the beige is probably be more of a blend in color.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
We
know,
want it to blend in for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and I know you do, but
Yeah.
we need to ask. We
Yeah.
need to
yeah,
know.
no, I totally agree. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
2 questions.
Yes.
Any other questions?
And then you said a solid wall on the front.
Solid.
Yeah.
That would be my preference. Commissioners?
I don't know. I mean, I just don't know enough about it yet. I mean, it is gonna be, I mean, that, you're right, that it does look way taller than the building in front of it. I know that's an illusion,
Oh, yeah,
but,
Yeah.
but
that's way back.
If I may say, if we did the iron railing in the front and we painted it to match the rest, that wall won't seem as tall, because it's a breaking point visually.
Mhm.
If we do the parapet all the way, yeah, solid, it's gonna look taller.
Yeah, it'll be less obvious it'll accomplish the safety purpose and be less visible that way.
And the shorter it can be would be my preference. I mean, it looked like it was 4 feet tall from that.
Yeah, no, it won't do that. We'll see what the code is, and we'll just go with the minimum code for it.
Those are my questions.
I guess my one question is pretty much answered. I wanted to make sure that the upper level of that roof was not going to be used as a balcony or a, an area to congregate or anything. It's strictly,
Oh, no, the other-
strictly access to
Yeah.
get to the mechanical. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the main thing. Is in my concern there. But, no further questions.
So y'all have looked at the outside of it, and you feel comfortable with?
I don't feel comfortable with it. Maybe I just don't know enough. I went back there and looked and I just think it's putting too much in too small a space. And I just don't, I'm not comfortable with it. I mean, that's not from a historical viewpoint. Historically, I don't really have a feel for it. I don't feel like it's historical, but I can't prove it's not. But I don't like putting it in that small of a space for these reasons. I mean, a coffee shop, which is gonna increase traffic back there. A break room, I don't know how many breaks those guys get a day, and an office, it just, and a B&B, the parking, I mean, just the whole sphere, and I know we're not in charge of parking or anything like that. I just think it's already crowded back there. Did you not think? It's.
I can answer some of those questions. The building is from 1880. And we're trying, we want a viable business, and Siobhan's office is in an area where the compounding happens. And state law is gonna change to where those areas have to be totally, they can only be a compounding area. So we have to get her out of there. We have no break room. There's no break room for our employees at all. And so we have to do that just because it just makes sense for employees. It makes sense to move the office out there. The coffee is a walk up, not a go into. And our thought was, in talking with Texas Cannon, with Brian, who owns the hat shop, there's a whole area there that if we leave it open would be a really neat off the square area that people could go through walk in and that would contribute to the tax base in an additional way besides how our pharmacy does. And we think it's a neat idea as business owners to do that, but limited in a way that where it's not very visible and where it, where it doesn't stand out like that. So, yeah.
Trey, it just, it kind of sounds like you're trying to do a bunch of different things at once, and I get it.
Yeah,
You're taking advantage of this opportunity to expand your business, but you're also adding two new things. You're adding a coffee shop and you're adding an Airbnb. So, I mean, at one point you're saying that you are expanding your business because Siobhan needs a larger space to,
the office
Office out of-
the office is gonna be upstairs, but we can also expand. It would be a dual purpose, which would help pay for it for sure.
okay, so that's the other thing. If you're trying to look for ways to help offset the cost of you expanding.
Always. Yeah, as a business owner, yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to figure out how we're gonna pay for it. Yeah.
Well, let me just ask you this, if you
Yeah.
just expanded it one floor behind
Mhm.
and to accommodate the larger space that you need for the office and for the break room for the employees,
Yeah,
that wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg.
It doesn't cost much more to go up.
It doesn't,
yeah,
Because
that-
it's
yeah,
already got
the footprint's already there.
Foot line.
Yeah.
It's just walls and no roof at that point.
Okay, I didn't know.
that's how we thought we would,
Yeah.
that's why we need to do that.
Okay,
Yeah, but keep it all the way in the back instead of, up front and then not take up that whole footprint in the back
Mhm.
and try to be neighborly back there. So,
thank you.
But the office is going to be upstairs, but that's also pretty gonna fit the B&B.
yeah. Yeah, she would not want to have her office in that break room.
So are we looking at the upper level right now?
That's a long.
And you're saying the office will be up there?
Yeah,
Where?
I'll go to master.
So like,
Is she just gonna move out when you have somebody there for the B&B?
however she figures that out, yeah. We don't anticipate having the Airbnb constantly. Primarily gonna be an office, but like we have family that come down and stuff like that, that would be neat for them to be able to stay up there. To have a dual purpose, so.
and she was saying that you'll have enough room in the back once the building is up, that people can literally get to the park through that back. Is that correct?
That all depends on the wine people and the fence that they've erected there.
It's another issue we have to
Yeah,
look at their fences.
yeah, we had access for probably 100 years to take to have our trash cans in right back here and then take our trash out the back. It's always been done that way. And then about 6 months ago, it was totally fenced over by our neighbor, and we can't do that anymore. So our employees will walk out the front with trash and walk around. So,
And if I may, the city's gonna have to look at where the alleys are and have some maps and still kind of in the middle of that and then bounce a few things off the city attorney, but these things take time. And you're dealing with neighbors and you're dealing with property, so we're gonna take our time and make sure that, because the city has things back there too, there's an alley, there's a sewer line, there's a PVC line, so we wanna make sure that those things, that we don't have a problem getting to those things. I mean, I do care about this for Ashley and the other neighbors, but first and foremost, city has to make sure that they take care of their utilities back there. So we are looking at all that, and once that is having gotten that far on.
and there's no permit for that fencing.
There's not.
So,
Yeah. Another topic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're trying to be neighborly.
Good for you. Glad to hear that one. I'd like to make a motion that we approve their COA with the stipulations we discussed. about the parapet being as short as possible and the same color as the building. So it disappears.
Yeah.
Um,
Do I have a second?
I can't second it.
Just don't move it up. Or
Okay. The only other thing I want to offer is, you guys want to go look at it?
yeah, could we do that and
Want
then?
to go look at it in person?
Yeah,
Mr. Escovy, can we take recess and go look at it in person?
Yes, you can.
Do we need to adjourn the meeting to do that, or
We're just moving the meeting.
just moving?
Moving the meeting.
Okay. Is it okay if we go look at the sites?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, field trips are always welcome.
Okay, but remember, this won't be recorded, so we get to come back and then
I
make
think we
motions and things.
I don't know.
Okay,
We just
absolutely.
offer this,
Yeah.
we could table this, go look at it at another time and then have a special meeting about it.
We would have to have a special meeting just to make the time.
Since we've already pretty much surpassed that. How do you feel about that, Mr. Escovy, if we were? to-
Yeah, I'm totally open. I'm concerned that, I really want to answer any questions that you all have that go with the historic building, requirements. When I think visibility is a big one and anything related to that. I appreciate what you're saying about fire, but I think there's.
That's not
people-
really our business. Yeah.
Okay,
Our
and-
business is historic.
Okay, and I also appreciate, I totally appreciate what your questions related to usage. And if we need to provide like a business plan that demonstrates usage financially, et cetera, I can do that, but that's not something that I'm prepared to talk about in the way that you all seem to want me to respond to it, because I didn't really know that was a part of your all's mission in terms of that. So I know for sure it's a part of planning and zoning and the council and that, but I just.
There's no other residences on the town square. That's one.
It's definitely not a residence,
Right.
100% not.
Oh,
a
I
residence.
understand.
Yeah. So, I want to be able to answer your questions. I want to be prepared. And I feel like visibility is probably one of the biggest things. And so I was contrasting your approval of the Red Buds project. And I was thinking about the frontage on the street here. And then I was thinking about the road that runs that way. And I was comparing the visibility of that, which you approved, which will be completely visible. And it'll be fantastically visible, if you will. Ours will be relatively invisible and hidden back here. And so I don't know how you all subjectively view that, but
Well,
I think-
the Red Bud, they came here multiple times.
Yeah.
And tweaked their plans, not,
Yeah.
just to make it fit within the spectrum of.
Yeah, they did a great job, I heard, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why, we haven't really, we've been talking about this, but we haven't,
Yeah.
we just now saw the plans.
Yeah, if y'all need to delay it,
You can
delay it, yeah, of course. I want you to
feel comfortable.
feel comfortable and
Well,
take
we
your
come back
time.
for you too.
Sure. Yeah.
So we just wanted to work for it.
Yeah.
I think what underlying what Pam is saying, and I get it, is this is a community, the square is a community. It's not just your building, but we're looking
Yeah.
at the entire community and how it fits within this community, the historic elements of this community,
Mhm.
the interaction of all the players in the community.
Yeah,
So it's a little more broad than just your building.
Mhm.
Would that be accurate?
A little bit more specific,
A little
right?
more specific.
Is it? But the
just let me
parking,
know what I need to prepare for.
Yes.
I want to answer your questions adequately.
I think just
Prepare for
looking at it with all of us, and we have our plans with this.
Yeah.
Plans, and just being able to walk it and see it, because we're not building, well, Brian's a builder, but I'm not.
It's funny, I sent an email to Warren earlier today saying, do you all want to go over there? And that's good, yeah, that's funny that you want to do it, so.
Yeah,
That's
Both
cool.
of us went
Okay.
today,
Oh, good.
so not together, we weren't together, but my concern is, you know, you can put all the figures and all of this. You think I can see that? I'm in my seventies, I can't begin to see that. So I got my magnifying glass out. It helped a little bit, but, it just looks like a little bitty space over there. I don't see how you can cram this into that little bitty space and still be productive with it.
It's not much larger than the building that's back there right now.
Yeah, it is a little bitty. We designed it a little bitty so that we don't take up
So
a big
that's why I
footprint.
think-
Yeah.
Going out there
Yeah.
and seeing people step it off and saying how high it's gonna go and I've been burned with this permit stuff. Because, some
Okay,
things
take
are
that out
agreed
on
on,
us.
and then, yeah, I'm taking that on everybody, permits, have to be adhered to. If these states are gonna do something in a permit, if they don't keep their word, that permit needs to be revoked,
Who enforces that?
the city.
I agree.
And so, when she said, as we have spoken, we need to really put down what we have spoken,
I agree.
not
100%.
just leave it pie in the sky stuff.
I think it would be reflected in your minutes, and I would expect that we would be held to account for what is in your minutes. And that's how we would do it.
Wendy, would you like to withdraw your motion?
I will withdraw the motion.
Okay, motion's been withdrawn. Anybody thoughts on a special meeting?
I make a motion for the commission to review the Ashley's proposal for their new build. And the commission have an opportunity to go and view it, and then we come back and within 5 days have another meeting.
I think it's illegal, right?
Pardon?
But can we go together? Can we have you have to have a meeting, you have to have an agenda and have it posted and everything for us to go.
I don't think, I mean, we're just gonna, we don't have to go as a group, I guess. We can just go and look at it and, I don't know. I really don't. Sorry.
I have already taken a tour of it. And,
So you can explain it.
I could explain it, better, but, I think it's something that I would recommend putting your own eyes on it. And I would recommend that you meet Mr. Ashley and allow him to show you the true side of it.
Want to go do it right now, but it's.
Hey,
Halloween, and
The Halloween doesn't bother, my kids can wait. We can walk over if you want. I was hoping we
well, I
might.
think it affects some of us.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
That's why we had it at 5 and I was late.
no, you're fine.
So how do we make
No, since I-
That's,
How do we do, how do we do this?
I was thinking, would 2 weeks from now be an okay day?
That's fine.
A meeting?
Yeah.
Does that work for everyone
Yes.
on your schedule?
Whatever your schedule is on.
Maybe
Make it happen.
make a motion to table it until,
Okay, I make a motion to table the Ashley's request for building for 2 weeks, which is
the 14th. That would be November the 14th.
till 14th of November.
So,
I second.
okay. Pamela's motion that we table this till the 14th. Wendy's second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you for your patience.
If you
Yeah.
can stake it out.
Yeah.
And pull the line, and then it's clear where it is. And
Glad to
whether
do
we
it.
walk back there by ourselves and look at it, or we walk with you.
Maybe
Just be careful coming this way through the fence area there.
I just would kind of also like you to point out how high it's gonna be.
That's the.
That's the another part. of-
Well, we lowered the top ceiling.
We lowered the first floor ceiling a whole foot. And
We appreciate that you're willing to work.
yeah, we have
The history of the
everything.
town.
Yes, based on our last meeting.
We like the history.
Yeah, and then we put some little more detail on the elevations some window details. We also, tried to go with a little more historic window, like in the tops of these windows, and they got, divisions on them. It's more of a period, look,
Okay,
so it kind of relates to the historic kind of atmosphere.
I appreciate that.
that is nice. Yeah.
So we, I spent some time on the art and going with some of these things to try and accommodate, and I took pictures around the square here and looked at those. We're trying to get as close as we can.
Thank you.
And we're gonna do stucco as the exterior. We're gonna copy your building here because we figured you probably approve what you've approved for your building. But stucco will blend a little bit more, it'll cost us a little bit more. And it'll, like your area here is one thing, ours is like mostly stucco over there. So we'll do that to make it conform, but not try to copy historic. Cause I think that's what you all try to do is it needs to fit, but be a little bit distinct, I guess.
Not exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, that's true. And
Yeah.
on your plans, you put stucco where your sign is, where, at least on the plan, Blanco Pharmacy. You identified that as stucco, right now it's metal.
If we did that, that was a mistake. We're not doing that. Yeah.
You're not
Not
changing it.
changing the facade of the
So,
original.
Next time we talk, make sure
Okay.
that's,
Okay. Thank you for your patience.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Absolutely.
Hey, when you do your field trip, let me know. I'll be in Austin all day tomorrow at work and back on Wednesday and Thursday. And I think we're leaving Friday to go see our daughter today, and so,
So Wednesday and
Yeah,
Thursday,
so-
you'll be here all day?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So let me know.
If the two of you went, you don't need any kind of notification.
Okay, I'll call you again. I mean, but we don't have to.
Oh, I'd like to go to Planet again.
Okay.
I mean, I would like you to brainstorm with me and figure it all out.
Yes, ma'am.
Walk it.
Walk it through.
Thank you so much.
Sorry we
Gentlemen,
couldn't get you an approval tonight, but
No, I actually go
No,
picking it through carefully, so just let us know.
thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Bye.
See y'all.
Now, so we want to discuss the next. Okay. So discuss and take action on the COA. Where the Hudson Girls sign replacement and
They don't
questions,
have a picture.
concerns.
They didn't have a picture of it, but the dimensions.
Here you go. We asked for a picture.
Yeah, I got a picture.
Oh, where's mine? I printed it. Oh, here it is.
We asked for a picture,
And this is what it's gonna look like.
Yes.
and mine's in color, so some of them.
My understanding is 3 foot by 8 foot.
And the span.
It's actually probably smaller than that one that's in that picture, but that one's gone. They just got a little big one.
Are they gonna take these down? The ones that are hanging? Because isn't that an issue? Didn't we have an issue with that with the pharmacy, the one that was hanging down?
They are.
It was forever, right? And they never did change it.
It's out of compliance.
That's my reservation with like going ahead and just saying yes tonight. Because for more than a year, we had an issue about the pharmacy side.
It's been more than a year.
And the pharmacy sign had problems with the neighboring signs.
Right, which are out of
Oh,
compliance,
signs?
and they would not,
A hanging sign.
they would not, you know,
Okay,
they wouldn't change it. They were like, they wouldn't work with us.
gotcha.
So that's why, before we say a quick yes to something of this magnitude, this build, Redbud worked with us for almost a year before we said yes.
I would
That's
make a
why I was
suggestion.
concerned.
Sure.
Because normally this meeting is at 5 or excuse me, at 6. You may want to just wait to discuss this to see if, I hate to make any kind of, I personally don't like to make decisions about the applicant. If the applicant's not here, it gets automatically tabled, or disapproved, because that's how I run the planning commission meetings, because we don't listen to somebody if they're not here to talk about it. They need to be. So I would wait till 6 o'clock and maybe just go on to the probably other items we probably flow through it.
So they know this is on the agenda.
They know this is on the agenda. I told him personally, Hugo Elizondo, that it was gonna be, at 5 o'clock, but I didn't email it to him, so maybe he thinks it's still 6.
So should we go ahead and talk about it now? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying wait until after 6, and then if he's not here, you can just disapprove it or approve it or do whatever you want, but I would wait till 6, just so I don't hear someone say, well, I thought it was at 6 and I didn't get to defend myself. Just kind of.
So you told him it was at 6?
I told him it was at 5.
I told her it was at 5 as well.
Right, and I saw her today and I told her it was at 5.
Okay, well, then you can do it if you want then.
Thank you. Thank you for your suggestion.
Here's what I'd like to say, if I may, about that, is, in my mind, I consider the dangling signs a separate issue. And the sign that goes up above.
Oh, they are.
They are,
No,
and that's where,
They're not separate?
no, they're not separate. Not a
they're
separate
counted
issue,
in the total amount of speech.
correct.
That's a good.
But you're saying the dangling signs are not compliant.
I know we're not discussing that right now. I was just saying why I hesitated
So
in agreeing with going forward is because we didn't get, it wasn't easy to work with them the last time.
Well, what bothers me is it's easy for these people to come in and sweet talk us, and then they don't keep their word. And I'm kind of done with that. We need to harden that.
Yeah.
This is a code enforcement call.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is a code
They have-
enforcement issue.
They have
All right,
So,
code enforcement and they have the code enforcement.
would you guys like to move back to?
It's hard to
That's
be
a girl.
how we mesh, because we should
Oh, are we
be.
waiting?
That's a girl.
We should be.
I think we should wait,
okay,
just because they are not here to represent.
all right.
That's,
But do we like that sign?
any
I
thoughts?
don't have a problem with this.
I think it's ugly, but other than.
I think it's-
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's ugly.
Well,
But it's the one they chose and it's in compliance with the dimensions.
From what I can tell, it is in compliance.
Mhm.
The new sign would be it. And even Mr. Escovy did some drawings and math for us to make sure that the square
Mhm.
footage of it matched up, and I appreciate that.
But Retta was saying, in aggregate, all of it together, the hanging,
Correct, it all counts towards.
it all counts, so
You need to put your sign ordinance and educate yourself on this.
so maybe we should table this.
You haven't done it.
But here's the thing, the Ashleys have never taken down their pharmacy sign, so how can we?
That's in there for.
I know, but I'm just saying, we can't make these people comply if we can't get the pharmacy to comply.
I think our responsibility, the COA, we're addressing the COA. And the COA is just that sign.
It is just that sign, but the sign ordinance says these
But
count.
that's their,
I know, but
Altogether, the square foot.
the square footage all counts.
And on
And,
that,
and he's only asking for 8x3. I'd have to look at, I think we did the math, even with those hanging signs, they're still fine. We can just
Is
table
it?
it and then they'll check all that. If that's what you want me to do.
Well, if the hanging signs are illegal, they come down anyway.
Well, that's not, I mean, we're just trying to figure out this main sign here. But if they all fit together and, I mean, we are responsible for the sign ordinance
That's right.
in the square.
correct,
So what about that?
and as far as I could tell, with the math and the measurements that Warren did on the building. And the new
Yeah,
sign,
everything's-
and the new sign that they're proposing, as well as those added to it,
Mhm.
they are still
They're-
under the maximum square footage
So-
allowed for signage.
Okay,
Yes.
so why are these not in compliance, sign compliance?
So first of all, I'm gonna say that I'm not a sign person and I'm not an HPO. So I have a lot of experience with city planning, but not really on the historic side of it.
Uh-huh.
When I talked to Rudy when we first looked at it, he never told me that those were not legal. He had said
Really?
that's, so again, what like is I think we should have that conversation with the applicant and say, hey, because this is a problem here. If it's been there for years, then this is maybe the time we can fix all of this.
We've asked them though, them
Okay, so you have, okay,
and the Ashleys.
okay,
And HBO Rudy Nino talked to the pharmacy at length,
okay.
many times.
Okay.
Without
I did not know
taking
that.
Hanging sign down, right?
I'd like to make a motion.
I thought you were talking about Cousin Carl's.
We are.
We are, but we're trying to figure out what the sign, we're trying to figure out why you said,
We went and
This
looked
is not-
at
this is not
when
legal.
they put these signs up for my grandfather and it will two work. If it wasn't in time, it needs to be one sign, one hanging, not two.
Not to.
So I'd like to make the motion that we table, the cut and curl signage,
Mhm.
with further research on the hanging signs and the ordinances that apply.
I second.
Wendy motions, we table it, and further research, and with seconds, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes unanimously.
Mhm.
Or they, yeah, your side of.
Okay, that'll work. Take action, discuss, and approve of minutes of September 26, 2022. Have you guys had a chance to review the minutes?
Mhm.
Make a motion that we approve.
Motion to approve them, and do I have a second?
I second.
Wendy seconds that we approve them. No further discussion. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I know. Passes unanimously. Minutes approved. Let's see. Discussion related. Move on to the next item. So yeah, just discussion on some of our projects and their status here. Banner project. That would be, well, we did achieve approval through planning and zoning for the banners, and we achieved approval through city council. Thank you, Mr. Trailkill, for getting the permit fees dropped off of those banners. And we have one last hurdle to overcome in that, and I believe we have to present that to streetscapes. Get banners approved through them. So barring that approval,
Did we have to do a proof?
streetscapes. So once we achieve that and coordinate with PDC, I believe it won't be long, we'll have some banners hanging, hopefully. But we'll see, as long as streetscapes approve, so let's see. So that's about it on banners.
That's been submitted to Streetscape for their review.
No, that has not been submitted yet. I am not sure of the actual process.
That would need to go to, probably, to Slan. See, she's our architect.
So would,
Slan Pemberton is our architect.
Right,
That's
so-
one of the freeway stop sign.
So with the historic committee-
Going through her, we've asked that everything, we have an architect. Everything should go through her.
Who do we go through in Streetscape to get to her?
how would historic committee submit the banner?
With proper paperwork necessary.
Richard will give it to, should give her the information on this.
So Ryan just drops it off or emails it to Richard?
Richard, and Richard should give it to her.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Walking tour brochures.
Y'all got those bids,
Got it.
and any comments, any suggestions, any?
I haven't seen them.
Any?
You wanna look at this?
Yes, please. Oh, we got it. Do we know how many we're gonna order?
We do not, that needs to be decided here.
Okay, thank you.
The last time we met, it was recommended I get another bid from someone locally, and that person I did get a bid from, he does all the city's printing. And that would be ink print. So that's who the second bid is from, ink print here in Blanco, and the first bid I got was from Kat McCool out of Johnson City, and all she does is graphic design, she doesn't do print.
Okay, so what about Cheryl Pratt?
What Cheryl Pratt, is she?
They have a print shop in Johnson City, a big one.
Cheryl, yes. So if we went with ink print, they would design it and they would print it. And they are waiving the design fee, no charge. And then the print fee you see down here. If we went just with a graphic design by ink print, I don't know what they would charge. That would be a whole nother way to look at it. And Kat McCall does 75 an hour, and she figured it would be 4 hours to design it. So I would need to go back to ink print and say, how much would you charge for design?
Well, if they waive the design fee, are they willing to do the design for free? Is that what that means? No.
Because they do all the cities.
So
Printing.
what are you saying about if they're willing to do the?
If I go to Cheryl Johnson Printing, who did something recently for us as well. If I go to them just for the printing, that's down here as well,
Okay,
just for print. And you can see that ink print is waiving the design fee and is considerably less than Johnson City. Okay.
Sure.
Johnson City printing is less expensive than ink print.
No, they are not.
It's less expensive.
Oh, I see, yeah, they're more expensive, sorry.
And I talked to Cheryl last week. She gave me these prices.
Okay,
I didn't know last name.
so what's your suggestion?
My recommendation is go with ink print. And what I sent you, did it show a little bit of the graphic design?
I didn't.
Here it is, very tiny, but we're gonna change the pillars to our blue and gold that we have. And that's kind of just a quick draft that she did for us, so we could see it. And of course, we can tweak anything, but I would personally like to get started on the design and get this thing moving towards print so we can get it out there.
Okay,
Well, so how many tourists do we have come through all the time? I mean, could the Chamber of Commerce give us a recommendation for how many, or should you just go?
I could definitely ask them. We can table this and I can
I hate to
get
take
that
that.
for next time.
I mean, you know,
I'm fine. What makes you comfortable is what I would.
well, I mean, it's more about like, do we need 2,000? Would they give us a bigger break if we wanted to? Do we need 2,000?
it's only $50 cheaper to order. We could do 500, see how it works, and then we'd know how many we need, or we could do 1,000. But we have that $400 for the banner.
Yeah, we say that. Plus, we put money in the budget for this, for the print. We put money in the budget.
Wendy, you've done all this legwork. I just think you probably have an idea of what we need.
Well, if we get it right and get everything in there that we want, I'd say let's go with the 500 and see how many go out. And then if they really start to fly off the shelves, we can get more.
Okay.
That need an additional motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion that we order 500 from Inkman. And,
I second.
Gail motion to order 500 from me, Fred. Count seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
And show passes unanimously. Thank you.
And if there are any tweaks to the design, it's basically what we've already got. It's just that we change the colors. I'll definitely bring it back to you before we go to print.
Thank you.
Portrait blank booklet.
I-
I really got you working.
Yeah.
I thought that they gonna send everything out. I thought, poor Wendy.
Poor Wendy.
Perfect. Oh, good. I'm glad you all feel bad.
I didn't say I felt bad.
Oh, darn. Okay. Portrait of Blanco, we're on a link pattern on that, yes. And it's still in Hollis's hands. I recommend we get whatever she's got and we start to work with it ourselves. I feel bad.
I think it may be back there, her portfolio, or what she had, maybe left.
Well, the computer working that they're doing, she's
Okay.
involved in that, and that's what we need to really keep moving forward with.
I bet we could go to her daughter-in-law and, I know her name on good days, but, and, cause she did this, right? The daughter-in-law, right?
Rebecca's daughter, a son-in-law and daughter did that.
Oh, Rebecca's?
Uh-huh.
I see.
Because Hollis is overseeing this project, I think first she needs to let it go to one of us,
Oh, it's one of
and
them.
then we can take it from there, and I'll have you go to.
They changed it over what that is.
They changed over.
So would anyone like to, if we agree on that point, would anyone want to talk to Hollis about passing this over?
I can talk to her about it.
Thank you, that's all I'm asking.
All right.
I've been so reluctant to call Hollis because I know she doesn't feel good. So I hate calling her.
No motion taken on that. That didn't sound good. Next thing, 175-year Blanco anniversary, visit Fredericksburg. Gail and Ryan, have you been to Fredericksburg yet?
So I called them and I got referred to somebody else and I called them. I knew I couldn't send everybody, so I sent Wendy a copy of my email to this lady at the Pioneer Museum. Her name was Heather in Fredericksburg. And she said she couldn't help me, but she sent it out to the people who worked on it and said for sure they'd be emailing me. This was 2 weeks ago and they haven't emailed me yet. So what I thought I would do is call Heather back and see if she had any suggestions, or she could ask permission from one of them if I could call them and talk to them. But you know, is this supposed to be in February? Is that when this is?
It's many years away, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I was thinking the mayor said it was like 7 years away or something.
Oh, well,
We're getting a little ahead on planning on it, but that's, we want to work on it. Okay,
So I'll just keep working on it.
okay, that'll work. Sounds like needed there. Okay, back to new business. Let's see.
We gotta get, Lindsay, I'm gonna go see your grandkids.
Yeah. Do we, let's see. Take action on volunteers to update inventory survey for the CLG client.
What is CLG?
Yeah. Certified local government, we are a certified local government under the Texas Historic Commission. And that's part of our mandate, is that we need to keep that updated. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this because I know we're anxious. But I've been over to the library, I've looked at everything, I have scanned their summary in the front of their big survey and inventory. I'm going to send that scan to all of you so you can look at it. But basically what it's telling us that we should be doing.
Does this have something to do with the records? And what kind of records we're supposed to keep?
No, this has to do with the buildings in town, all historic,
Okay.
or not just buildings, but inventory, things,
Inventory of our building.
things, all that sort of stuff. The one thing that they say is the development of a tax abatement program to encourage rehabilitation of historic structures. We did that and we put it out there, but we'll put it out there again. The BHC should inform property owners of existing federal rehabilitation funds. Again, we have done that, but we'll put it out there again. And then expansion of the historic district. They would love for us to expand district. We talk about this at every meeting. But the one thing I think I would personally like to see done, and I'm just throwing it out there, is that we really do another drive around. Either find volunteers or we take some time, each of us, to drive around and identify buildings that are now under the historic realm. They weren't 10 years ago, but they are now. And that's something I think that needs to be picked up for us to stay in compliance.
So we were talking about a way to make them historic without, limiting them for remodeling and things like that.
We did talk about that, but this primarily is just identifying historic sites and
I
buildings.
didn't bring this.
Absolutely. There's many. So
There are.
we need to just pick that up.
Okay,
Sorry, but commercial.
not a problem. No motions necessary. Okay, next thing, discuss the signage for UDC in businesses. Violation reported to city by Billy Jean and the Historic Commission on, let's see, 7/25/2022, location of Tenuta Blanco, Hill Country Wine, Texas Craft Beer on 312 Con Street. Requesting the city's following report on that. Do you have any report on that, sir?
So I honestly don't, so I'm gonna ask a couple things.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually gonna talk to that neighbor, that person about some issues with some other issues that we have, as far as the alley and what they're doing there. So while I'm doing that this week, what is specifically, and I apologize, I don't remember, what's specifically the problem with that? Is it something on the windows or what was that?
In our design guidelines, it's very specific on 5.4.1, signs and historic buildings. D, display windows act as signage by allowing the passerby to look into the storefront. Their storefront windows are totally covered. And then in our UPC, section 9.03.205, window signs. Only one window sign is permitted per business on each property unless the property is on a corner lot, in which case 2 window signs will be permitted.
Okay.
They completely black out their windows.
Do you think it's because they have alcohol?
So we'll deal with both the signage issue and their encroachment on the alleys, which in my world takes a more precedence, but we'll deal with both of those as we're gonna deal with them.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. No action necessary now. Okay. Consideration and discussion on textiles project out in the square. Anybody got anything to say?
Surely ugly. And it's in the way, you know, it's not congruent with Blanco. It's not historic at all. As if any of that makes any difference, you know, because they like that.
They make jackhammers, but we'll worry about that later. Any other comments? No? Well, the only thing I have to say about it is moving forward, I'd like to see no one come into our historic district and start major construction project.
How did
Going
they get
through the
permission
process.
to do that?
They didn't,
They did not.
not with us.
They
Well,
didn't.
explain.
Okay, so they coordinated with Texas Historic Commission and supposedly Blanco County Historic District, and they notified them of what they were gonna do, but they did not achieve any approval letters from either level. They did do a section 106, which is an environmental survey to make sure that they weren't gonna.
I bet they're salamanders in those.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, but that was as far as they went with any of their approval process. Anywhere outside of this district, that's all they have to do. But once you get inside this district, even tax jobs required to run their plans through the process, get it approved. That's why we have historic districts in the first place. Now, that doesn't mean that that design would have been changed. The main deal is we have engineers and various people that live in this community that are pretty sharp. Had that been presented to the public, maybe someone may have had a suggestion. But we don't get to worry about that now. Second thing is part of the project coordination and timing. I noticed we had Marigold Festival this weekend, a mass, so some nice little old ladies walking through a construction site because, well, it wasn't even barricaded off properly to let you know, stay the heck out of this dangerous area. So project coordination is part of the process, and safety issues, and maybe not having a major construction project planned right smack dab when we have one of our festivals planned would probably be a pretty good idea too. So
So how did they just come in and start it? The city couldn't make them pause? I mean,
They
What process?
officially did the section 106, which is making sure in a historic district that they're not breaking any rules, they're not damaging anything historic, and that's a godsend for us. And they went to the Texas Historic Commission, and they pretty much just said, and I'm paraphrasing because Ryan was sending me all this stuff, that we don't see any problem. So then they sent it to our county, Blanco County Commission, Historic Commission, did not receive a response in 30 days.
well, that's Joe Minnell, isn't it?
That was Linda Howard.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought Janelle took over that.
She did, but this was prior.
Ah.
And they did not receive a response, so they just took it that there was no
objection.
objection. So they just moved forward without any response from the commission whatsoever.
On this corner,
Yes, all of this. There was no response.
we
from the
had
commission.
we had a 106 review done, I had the 106 review done on our conceptual plan. Prior to this.
Right.
This is, all my correspondence with TechStop for 7 years over this plan. And they knew there was a plan,
So
and the city knew there was a plan,
Yeah, the city,
and the
the
architect.
city knew a small amount of time ahead of time that this was gonna begin. Yeah,
But they
essentially.
Nobody was.
they were not doing it back then.
And as far as I know, the assumption of the whole was that this is tech stop. What do we do? We can't stop them. Kind of a issue, like that's their road, but so maybe proper procedures weren't known at the time, but they are now. And
That's why I was told too, you know, that we don't talk to TechStop, they just do what they
They
want,
just do
but it's
what they
not true.
that's not what
There's
the regulations say.
And this went to Jason Isaac to help us move forward on the north side. All these emails went to him between me and TechStop. So we did talk to TechStop.
Yeah, I've caused a few waves, and I'll probably give Warren a few more gray hairs this past couple
The city
weeks.
has to be behind us. The city has to.
And I believe they are moving forward, and I appreciate that.
Well, it's kind of late.
So he is communicating with TechStop. Just
Yes,
so
I
you know.
am still in communications with them. We are still seeking, as far as we know at this moment in time, they did not truly achieve any, other than a few casual emails that said, yeah, looks great. They did not achieve any approval at any level from the historic commissions, whether it be state, county, or
We have
food states.
106.
That is correct. They just got 106. They were approved that they were not going to negatively environmentally impact anything
You
by
know,
doing that.
there used to be a saying, how do you know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? You might call me and ask where we've been.
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Okay.
and then that way we're on this, you know, going forward.
Yes, ma'am. So there will be future communication with them, and that doesn't mean that what's been put in will be changed or removed or anything, but our discontent will at least be noted and expressed to them.
I really appreciate you doing that.
Yes,
No
thanks,
problem.
Ryan.
You know, the next step is that sidewalk down this side. You heard this, Steve.
Mhm. We're working on it. Okay, other than that, no action necessary on that. consider and take action, discussion on striping improvements on Con at Third Street in the square. Sounds like we're getting some new striping more.
Well, so first of all, I want to explain that I really appreciate what the Historic Commission does, the work that you do, the fact that this is all voluntary, and I really respect that. And I also want to say that this is a learning process for me. There are certain things I know and certain things I don't know. So I'm gonna go backwards and I'm gonna kind of show you what the plan is. And I also want to mention that I want your thoughts on this, your thoughts on it. And that if you wanted to table this until we met in 2 weeks, I think we're gonna have a special meeting for Trey. I'm okay with that. So first of all, I want to kind of explain what the process is. There's really, I'll see if I can get it a little tighter. There are really two issues. Now this is, I'm gonna wait. There's really two issues. There's a restriping of the square, which is what the council has asked that I look at. And then there was another thing that we brought to council a few months ago. And I'm gonna get, once I can get this tighter, I'll look like I'm able to just the right time. But basically, we're looking at restriping, and then we're also looking at putting a three-way stop at City Hall. And I'm gonna see if this will cooperate.
I got to go, I'm sorry.
You gonna go?
Yeah, I'm picking someone up to go open a house in Johnson City.
Yeah. How does that work? Adjournment?
We can't make any decisions.
But are we making any more? I thought we got everything.
So my suggestion would be that you look at the information I provided, of a three-way stop. Right now, there's a lot of cars would drive past really fast. In that is, you'll see from the email I sent, and I wish it was a little better, we could actually see it closer, but you can see that there's some striping changes, and then we're actually adding 2 stop signs. And maybe not, but take a look at that. I'm going to resend an email to you with that drawing that further explains why we're looking at doing that, and the fact that's not changing anything historical, but what it is doing is looking at striping and looking at public safety. I would rather you not make a decision tonight, just look at it, mark it up, and then when you come in 2 weeks, then we can kind of really look at this and look at how you can help us, really look at this and make sure that we're doing the right thing for the city.
Do we have that now?
You do have it.
Okay.
You do have it. It was emailed to you.
It was one of the.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Many.
All right.
It was emailed
I'll
to
make
you. And it is something I think is important for you to kind of say, take some time to look at.
Maybe.
Do I have a motion?
No.
No.
Two.
I mean, these 2 girls need to go.
Oh,
Everybody second that?
I second.
Okay, we motion to table that. That's, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously.
Warren, if we lose a body up here, can we go on? We're not making any decisions. Only because we have Streetscape to read their report and Night Skies.
I think you're fine with doing that, but there can't be any discussion either. No presentation.
Just
Only
presentation.
No discussion, no questions of any of the consultant staff.
But that means that Pam won't hear.
Are you okay?
Right, that's why there's no discussion.
I'm on Streetscape.
Okay.
So you kind of got it.
And I'll send you
Discussion meeting.
links.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Is he coming?
motion to adjourn,
But I,
just for,
well, we're just still.
just still going, just no longer quorum. Okay. Thank you, Gamma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Any of the other items on new business? The only other thing was, yeah. We won't talk about that. Okay, let's move on. That's it, other than now our committee reports, streetscapes You have a good report for us.
Okay, I always like to give a history lesson every once in a while, but we don't have time for a big one, but does everybody know? Do you know what this is?
I've seen it before.
Okay, but do you know what it is?
No. Please
Okay,
explain.
when we did the comprehensive master plan in 2003 is when we started it. 2004 is when we actually had our LCRA come and start the meetings. And at the very first meeting, Chris Holcamp, who was with LCRA writing the comprehensive master plan, said, Rita, I suggest that you have the historic commission go to the city and ask that the city apply for the visionary and preservation program. At that time, Texas had this program, and only 3 towns a year could be awarded this visionary and preservation program. And so I did, and we went to the city. It took 2 years of getting us ready to receive this. So at the same time, the comprehensive master plan was being worked on, this was being worked on too. In the end, when that was done, we started on this, and that was finished in 2005. We didn't get this until 2007. That's how much work it took to be approved for this plan. It took 3 applications. It was approved. That's where the night skies comes from. That's where streetscape comes from. That's where update the signage comes from. 7 months of meetings is what we did. 7 months of meetings. And this is what the people said they wanted. And out of it is the Blanco Historic Preservation Action Plan, and it's on file with the state.
It's on file here as well, so we can get a copy.
The task force managed growth to protect real character and natural resources, promote adherence to design standards, preserve and revitalize the square. That's where streetscape is, revitalize the square. So that's where we came from. And when we started it, we got this plan finished in 2007, October 2007, and approved. We asked for a resolution of the City Council of Blanco, Texas, establishing a committee to develop a local streetscape program and master streetscape plan, which would result in the historic preservation and beautification of the Blanco Historic District while protecting and enhancing the economic development within the city, and especially those businesses adjacent to the courthouse area. By this resolution, the council charges and authorizes the committee to coordinate, collaborate, and partner with appropriate city, county, and state agencies. That means textile, local businesses, and interested community citizens in the accomplishment of the committee chief objectives. That's what streetscape's about. This has been renewed just in 2020. We went on inactive for a while, and in December of 2020, we asked it to be reactivated. It's the same resolution. It hasn't changed, except people have forgotten who we were. Sometimes the city has forgotten what they wrote and what they asked us to do and what we spent years and years doing. So that's where we are right now. We have worked all this time. Let me get this. Our first meeting was 2010 with this committee. So we've had fundraisers, and when we first started, we had 10 committee members, and when we came back, we had 5. And we increased it to 7, so our quorum would be easier to meet at our meetings. We had $7,000. Keep Blanco Beautiful was designated as a fundraiser for this because we're a 501c3. All funds come through us. all fundraisers. Streetscape does a fundraising, but so does Keep Black Up Beautiful. And so we had $6,000, and then we asked the city to match it again, which they had done at one time, and they matched it $7,000. So we had, we went through a year of selecting our architect. This is Suzanne Pemberton. Suzanne has asked that the city please run these things like the three-way stop sign by her, because she may have ideas that they don't even know about. And that's what they're saying in here that they're gonna do. And so that's all that she's asking. And so we, paid her $5,000 down, and we had to get a surveyor because, and we were starting up here, old 300, and now TxDOT has taken over two of those corners up here that we'd already gotten an approval on. And so, we spent that year and we selected her out of two. There was Central City and this one that we selected her. And she's asking that, so we paid her $5,000 down. Survey has come in, it has been paid for, and that was $3,600 for the survey. And her fee was $15,000 for we're doing it in phases. And this is the first phase from all 300 done past the city hall. And it will be the banners. We had a program called David P. Lamplight Program that we charged $5,000. So we have lamp lights, which would have gone on the corners, with now our solid slabs. And with the banners on them, maybe, however, but she's our architect. We're not the architect. And we're not asking anybody to do anything but to at least honor the resolution and run things by her, because she is our architect. So we are down to, with the $3,600 out, we're down to right at $10,000. So we got to start a fundraiser again, because the next phase will be First Street and all that over there. And talking about striping, the striping of the parking is also a part of this. This is part of the historic district. I hope that y'all will stand up to the city about this and say, honor what you said. We have drawn signs because we back out, we back into somebody coming in, they're back out in the same place. So to be like on 4th Street and then in front of the courthouse that we have slant parking instead of straight in parking. So I hope that y'all are considering that without ignoring Savannah Pemberton, who has been paid to do it, okay? So this is where we are. It's gone to her. She needed a larger copy of the survey, and we had to pay him before she could get a larger copy of the survey, and it's gone to her.
So if there's anything, for instance, this restriping, we give this to Richard and then Richard communicates it.
It should go to her. And we don't know what designs that she has for a three-way stop sign. She may have designs that they like better than what they're looking at.
Well, but our responsibility is to go through Richard and then
Well,
Richard goes to her.
to go through Pam. Pam is your chair on the historic district. When we formed this committee, we always had, we had co-chairs then, because we had 10 of us. And it was always 2 of the historic commission people. And so when we reactivated, because I was an advisor then, Pam took on the chair to hold the meetings and all that, and I did most of the work. And so now this is exactly what we're still doing.
Okay, so for clarification, Ryan would send it to Pam.
But Pam is the contact with y'all.
Right.
And then that Joe would go to Richard.
Yeah, Pam and Richard would be sent to both.
Do that. Anyway, we're on our way for Con Street.
Yeah.
And slant parking and freeway signs. Okay.
Thank you, Rheta. Thank you very much. Next, committee report, Friends of the Night Sky.
Wayne Gosnell has sent me an email and asked me to read this, so here we go. Number one, the Blanco County Friends of the Night Sky will donate an OPPLE, I'm thinking that's Opal light meter to the city of Blanco for the use by the code enforcement officer. Warren Escovy has asked Wayne to work with the code enforcement officer on enforcement of Blanco's outdoor lighting ordinance, and Wayne agreed. This hopefully will happen in November, with the initial emphasis being in the Blanco Historic District. Number two, one of the major light polluters in Blanco, intentionally unnamed here, has agreed to shed his lights, or better, put them in on motion detectors. As light pollution does not stop at the boundary of the historic district, every light that can be corrected in or near the city helps the night sky above the historic district. Three, the Blanco County Friends of the Night Sky has agreed to assist the Highway 281 Committee in making recommendations to TxDOT on roadway lighting in Blanco to include the historic district. Four, two businesses in the historic district are displaying string lights that do not appear to be in compliance with Blanco's outdoor lighting ordinance. The color temperature appears much too high and shine bright white instead of the required amber color. Pam brought that up a couple meetings ago, at those lights. Five, the BCFNS has purchased 3,200 pairs of Eclipse glasses. The glasses will be donated to the two school districts in Blanco County for use during the two upcoming eclipses of the sun, October 2023 and April 2024. There are enough glasses for every student, teacher, and staff member of both ISDs. Six, the BCFNS and the Blanco Chamber of Commerce will soon recognize several more local businesses as being night sky friendly. 30 local businesses have now been recognized today. Seven, Mayor Lumpy and Warren Escovy are working with TxDOT on erecting signage that will recognize Blanco as a scenic city and an international dark sky community. The BCFNS will purchase the international dark sky community signs and donate them to the city. Thank you all, Wayne Gosnell.
That's a street stay, I mean, a VIP one.
It's very
That's a very good
Nice,
report.
nice.
yes.
Thank you, Wendy.
And he has worked so hard to get this through. He ran into the same things that we've done with the city. He had to
It's working.
disassociate with it every time.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I didn't know if the motion was still in order since we were in quorum, but I'll second.
You know what? Whatever.
Let's go home.
Let's go home.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Diane.
No problem.